Hello, Goblins. It's Chris, Eldritch Pipes, and it's an episode of this week's Pipes. I'm smoking some Dunbar. It is delicious. Now, before I get going, a couple of people keep asking me, what are these fellows that are behind me? There's two, this one and that one in the far corner. They're actually tarot cards, tarot card prints. This is the star, and the one in the corner is the moon. So that explains those. Yeah. For a moment I thought I might say something about them, but then I decided that I wouldn't. Right. Well, a few things to cover today. I started selling my pen blanks last week, and I did a resin drop, and that's what the kids like to call it. Just boom! Onto the forums. I've got 22 of these. Who wants them? And man, they went pretty quickly. Yeah. Most of them went in the first day, and then during the second day, the last few picked off the stragglers, and that was that. So, successful experiment. We've really got to find a better way to deal with what would you call it? Rush orders, not rush orders. Orders that are happening on the fly like that. I wasn't doing it through Etsy. I was just taking the orders personally, like processing through PayPal, which is a lot of takes up a lot of your time, having to literally talk to people and give them your details and that. I thought there's got to be a better way, but most of the other ways, it's like, even why I don't really like doing Etsy is because they take such a big cut. They do really take a big cut, man. It's not funny. And but I think I've found Shopify, and I might set something up in Shopify. That seems viable. Rather than them taking a percentage, well, they've got various plans, and one of them is that you can pay a little bit and they will take a percentage. It's nowhere near as bad as Etsy. But you could pay more and they'll take no cut at all. But obviously you want to be making a certain amount of money before you're paying like a sizable monthly fee. So I'm going to give the pen blanks a few months to kind of see if they can get established. Oh yeah, I've started a new Instagram page, Eldritch Resin. I thought I will separate my concerns. So it's Eldritch Resin on Instagram for just resin developments. And we'll see what happens. I'd like to appeal to a new pen crowd. I think it would be interesting. We'll see. Oh yeah, someone put me onto this in last week's video. I don't know how many of you saw it in the comments. But out of nowhere, the BBC have suddenly done The Haunter of the Dark. If you've been with me in the past, the Listen with Eldritch, we had the case of Charles Dexter Ward. Then we had what was the middle one? The Whisper in Darkness. And then we had Shadow over Innsmouth. If you're not familiar with those, it's done as like a podcast with two reporters, Kennedy and Matthew. And they're running around in England trying to uncover a kind of a secret cult plot. And the writer, Julian Simpson, weaves in the background and sometimes in the foreground the kind of the through line of the Lovecraft stories. They don't stick rigidly in any sense. It's a total retelling, just using the framework of the stories and some of the character names. But it's very good, very good. And I thought, well, they said that Shadow over Innsmouth was the last one. You know, peace out, we're done. And I don't know if any of you followed Julian Simpson on Instagram, but his Instagram profile disappeared. He just went, social media just went dark. I was like, wow, yeah. They're done with that. It's just over. And then, out of nowhere at all, like 3 years since Shadow over Innsmouth finished, Haunter of the Dark, boom. And by the time the chap told me last week, it was like the whole thing was just like, put out as a binge thing on Monday, and I just ate it up, and it was really good, really good. So if you've been listening to those, I kind of wondered, should I go back and do a listen with Eldritch for that one, but they've sort of changed the format. For those of you that listened with me, they were half-hour episodes, and that was really cool because I could do a nice little video showing me working on something for half an hour. I felt it was a good format. It was a nice length. All the new ones are like 15 minutes, like 20 minutes max, and it's like, man, it just feels a little bit short in pipe making terms to get anything done at all. So, I don't know. Maybe I could do 2 episodes per episode or something. I don't know. But if you do listen to it, they've teased where they're going to go next, which has me very excited. Looks like they're going to do a big story next. Maybe the biggest. Certainly one of the biggest. So there, go. Listen to the Haunter in Darkness. Haunter of the Dark. Whisperer in Darkness, Haunter of the Dark. It's easy to get confused. And also, the BBC, I don't know how many of you heard the announcement, but they're putting the entire 60 years back catalogue of Doctor Who on the iPlayer. I was like, what? I mean, I'm really tempted to go and visit my favourites. Troughton I loved Troughton. He's just like bumbling. He's a lovely bumbling, but kind of severe, but you can't take him too seriously kind of doctor. Obviously Tom Baker. That's a given. But Patrick Troughton, just such a wonderful doctor. So yeah, but I reckon I'm going to go all the way back to Hartnell and yeah, get lost in that. That should be awesome. Can't wait to do that. And one last little plug. I've been listening again to the Scythe trilogy. Starts with Scythe. What's the second one? I forget what the second one is called. The last one's called The Toll. The Scythe, something, and Toll, the Toll. And if you haven't read them or listened to them, do. It's a really fantastically conceived trilogy. It's just perfect. And I feel people got to listen to it or read it, depending on how you prefer to do these things. I mostly listen because I listen while I work. That's the way I am. All right. This week's pipes. Yes, Goblins, it is an acorn. Fortunately, Paul gave me the, I want to say Bambino slide. That's not his name, Paul. Gave me a little bit of free reign with this. Let me decide exactly what combination to go with. Gave me a few options and let me pick. And I'm really just loving the Guinness stem at the moment, so that's what I went with. And it has to be a black bowl with a Guinness stem. It just has to be. Got ourselves some plateau on the rim. Got ourselves a nice blast. Can we get... It goes a little overexposed. There you can see. And then it... It's a nice look. And there's now going to be a fair few pens, well, at least 20 pens going to be made out of the Guinness Black. So I'll be interested to see how those turn out. Right. Strange weather. It was strange weather. The start of this week, we were down into the 6s and the 4s, that's Celsius, and had the heater on for the first time this year. But from Wednesday, it started warming up again. We're back in the 14s. I don't know what's going on. For you long-time Eldritch viewers, you might recognise this style. Not the shape, the shape's a Viking Horn, but this is an alchemist Viking Horn. It is briar fused with resin, and I mean, I'll talk about the resin in a moment, but I was like giggling like a giddy child when I was sanding this. I was not expecting a smooth. I hope for a smooth when you're doing these, but that's never a guarantee. Never. You do get the added... I can put that down. You get the added bonus of being able to cut into the briar And then that gives you even more information about whether you're going to get a smooth or not. You sort of can look inside the block and see what's going on. But still, that ain't no guarantee. A little niggle can pop up at any point in the shaping process. But I had prepared this for casting in resin, and I was like, ooh, is it going to be? And then I was sanding away, and it was like, boom, yeah, it's going to be. This is a violet resin, you can see that there. This part is violet too, but it's thicker. It needs a strong light. If I'd have thought in advance, I would have gotten a torch and shone through. Shall I nip off and get one now? Hang on. I should have tested this before the video to see if it was going to work, but there you go. So violet resin. And so everything was just working to plan, and that's always nice. Otherwise, I can sandblast this, and that's a kind of a tricky process. I have to go through a very careful process of masking the resin off using a liquid mask, which is the only way I've found to do it. And then there's some touch-ups after the sandblasting. So getting a smooth is kind of a blessing. If you've not seen these before, there's a hidden join, because the stummel is cast in one part and the stem is cast in another, but obviously I cut the wood for the end of the shank and the start of the stem from a contiguous piece of that briar block so that they flow together. And that's where the hidden join is. Cool, eh? So there you go. I haven't made an alchemist horn in a little while, so it was really nice to visit that again. There we go. There we go. All done. Those are the pipes. Now next week is half term. That kind of snuck up on me. So the boy's off, and I've got a pipe to make. I do have a pipe to make. I'll kind of like make it in between doing things with the boy, I should imagine. So we may get an episode next week. I'm fixing that I might do a small, short video next week. So if you're there, I'll see you then. Till then, take it very easy. Your loyal pipe maker.